Senator Lindsey Graham went on the Sunday shows to bash Donald Trump some more. Let's watch.
I believe Donald Trump's foreign policy is isolationism. It will lead to another 9/11. Trump doesn't understand the Obama-Clinton mistakes. They didn't intervene in Iraq. They withdrew from Iraq. Obama didn't intervene in Syria. He failed to act against sound military advice when it would have mattered in Syria. The people of Libya rose up against Gaddafi. Our failure was not to follow through. And Trump never mentioned Afghanistan. So his foreign policy to me is just isolationism. We're either going to fight radical Islam over there in their backyard or in our backyard. But Trump is the most unelectable candidate we could put up against Hillary Clinton. Women and Hispanics hate his guts for good reason.
Okay. The only thing that was true there was that very last part where he says women and Hispanics hate his guts for good reason. Yeah. But everything else was just ridiculous and classic Lindsey Graham. It's amazing to me that in his mind and in the mind of neoconservatives, they think they're keeping it real by attacking Trump when Trump says his most reasonable shit. So he accuses Trump of isolationism there. I don't think that's the problem with Trump's foreign policy. I think the problem is when he said on Fox and Friends, let's kill civilians on purpose in the Middle East. So let's do terrorism. Let's kill the families of ISIS. I think that's the problem. I think the problem is when he said, I will bring back torture. I'll bring back much worse than waterboarding, and I will torture, quote, even if it doesn't work. I think that's the problem with Trump's foreign policy. But no, what he does is he takes the most reasonable thing Trump ever says, like, for example, on Syria, when he said, let Putin fight ISIS, I want nothing to do with it. And he says, that's the problem. And he says, Trump's isolationism, which is, by the way, the pejorative smear word of the wildly popular non-interventionism, he says, Trump's isolationism will lead to another 9/11. Actually, Lindsey, you've supported every intervention imaginable, and as a result of your ideas and your policy positions, we've made terrorism worse. It's gotten worse. You know, we just said this in the last segment, but I got to bring it up again. There are more terrorists in the world today, more jihadists in the world today than when we started the war on terror. So that's an abject failure. The whole idea was to eliminate or limit terrorism, and it's gotten worse. So your policy positions have failed. Your solutions are not solutions. They make the problem worse. They add to the problem. And it's the same thing as the drug war. Hey, let's eliminate drugs or limit drug use. Whoops! After wasting $1 trillion on the drug war, now there are more people taking drugs today. You're wrong. You're simply wrong as to your positions. And there's been research on this that found that indeed that's true. That when you kill so many civilians in this war on terror, you further radicalize others, people who were not going to fight the United States of America. They may have been neutral against the or just against the United States of America, but not going to take action on that front. And then when you blow up their aunt or their grandma in a fucking drone strike or some sort of an attack gone wrong, well, guess what? You just created more jihadists. And don't take my word for it. We've covered the story from former drone operators who were like, yeah, you kill one and you create like 20. So he just wants to keep going down the wrong path. He's never met an intervention he doesn't like. And he said right there, the problem with Obama was when he drew down from certain places. Well, number one, insofar as he did draw down, he is not anymore. He's going in the opposite direction. He's going up now. But they're always willing to do revisionist history at a place that is historically convenient for their argument. So notice, he's fine with saying, there's a problem now, and the problem in the Middle East was brought about by us leaving Iraq. But he never would go further back in time and say, actually, the problem perhaps might have been toppling the strongman authoritarian Saddam Hussein, and tackling him and toppling him led to the rise in ISIS because you had Saddam's Baathists teaming up with the fundamentalist Sunnis to create ISIS. So that's the reality of it, but he would never say the problem was the initial invasion, not the drawdown from the occupation that we did. But that's what he does. He pins it all on the drawdown from the occupation. So here's a guy who's never met a war he didn't like, criticizing Trump because half the time Trump says reasonable shit where he's like, I don't know, maybe we should mind our business some more. And Trump goes as far as to say, spend all that money that we would have spent overseas rebuilding our country here. Okay. When I look at the counterarguments coming from people like Lindsey Graham, I honestly think more than ever that we're actually going to have a president, Donald Trump. Because, and here's what you have to look out for. So the Republicans and the establishment and the neocons, they're going to argue this against Trump, this stupid line of argument from people like Lindsey Graham. But then, what line of argument is Hillary going to make? Because Hillary is a choice. Either you attack him on foreign policy by bringing up the stuff that I said. Hey, you want to torture people. Hey, you say let's kill civilians. That's going to create more terrorists. Either you attack him on that stuff, or you do the opposite and you actually team up with what the neocons are saying, and you team up with what Lindsey Graham is saying. And you say, hey, he's not serious because he dared to say that we should stay out of Syria. And if she takes that line of argument, it's like it would be like she's trying to lose the election. Because there are so many issues where if Trump is savvy enough, and he might be, he'll go to the left of Hillary. And in a general election, you will have the Republican candidate be to the left on war, on some economic issues. And if that's the case, then you're putting the Democrats in a predicament here. Because the Democratic base is going to be disheartened, and they might not go out and vote for Hillary. And on top of that, independents who are already going to Trump over Hillary are going to go even more to Trump. So if you have the Republican candidate arguing for being less interventionist, arguing for being more protectionist with our trade issues, and actually arguing against money in politics, even though you shouldn't believe him because he wouldn't do anything to fix it, because he wanted to be bought like everybody else, but the billionaire said no. But if you have him taking that position, then you really have an election where Trump, the Republican candidate, portrays himself as much more anti-establishment. And if there's one thing that Democratic base voters hate, it's the establishment. And even if they wouldn't go and vote for Trump, and I don't think they would, or I don't think many of them would, they might just stay home because they're not interested in voting for the establishment, Hillary Clinton, who is more pro-war than the other candidate, and who is more pro-free trade than the other candidate. So, there's a lot of smug people out there today. Oh, look at the polls today, and look at how much Hillary Clinton is up. So, yeah, that's true. And am I saying that Hillary is definitely going to lose? No, not by any stretch of the imagination. But the point I'm making is look out, because there are so many arguments that Trump can make and so many ways to position himself that are truly savvy that can make this election go to him. I had to pause there because it's painful to say it, but it's true. So if Lindsey Graham thinks he's helping his case by making this argument, dude, the people are just not that into you. Like, he ran for president, Lindsey Graham. He got roughly -6 votes. And so now he's out there on the Sunday shows attacking Donald Trump as if Donald Trump isn't significantly more popular than he is. Like, everybody heard your yay war arguments in the general. Nobody was interested in it. And now you think the way to take Trump down is to be a surrogate for way worse candidate Cruz and to talk about how Trump is so anti-war. That's only going to help him, you jackass. He doesn't get it. They don't get it.